kill it again?
Oh no, they can
I know.
just see yellow.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Okay, what am I looking for?
Okay, so hotspot is on.
Friedman's phone?
No, it should be iPhone 183. My Bluetooth is on. Yep. Personal hotspot is on. Oh. Allow others to join. Yep. Might just need a sec to think about it.
I guess I can look for other...
Oh, someone's just... So 241, no. It might be finding other people's, which is going to be annoying.
Why won't it... Okay, show available networks.
Oh. Can you add one? No. Maximize.
Okay, what do I have to do here? Network's name?
What would it be called? Bluetooth. Oh, AM discoverable is 241. It's changed.
Oh.
It was like 183 a week ago. So who knows what's happened. 241, there we go. That's me. Connect. My password is...
Okay, we're supposedly connected. You just leave that.
Yep. Oh, I won't have my phone.
Sorry.
In person and also online if you're not able to attend here. My name is Elena. I'm the exchange manager in the study abroad and exchange team, so we have other team members here with us. We have close to 400 incoming exchange and study abroad students starting their program with us this winter term. So as you can see, I think almost everyone is here, which is very exciting, and we're very, very excited to host you at UNSW. Before we start, I would like to begin by showing my respects and acknowledging the Bedical people who are the traditional custodians of the land on which this meeting takes place, and to elders, past and present. So this is the overview of what we are going to cover today. So we have a busy session with lots of information, but it's all important information that will help you have a rewarding, successful, and safe experience. And we will also have, of course, some fun bits. Just before we start, a couple of housekeeping things. So the emergency exits are marked with the exit sign, so they're just there, over here, and up the steps. Bathrooms are on either side, so we have male bathroom on that side, female and special needs bathroom on the other side. So if you need to use one of them, they're just over there, but you need to go outside. And this presentation is being live streamed. It will also be recorded, so if you would like to review the recording later on, you will be able to. And the link to the live stream is included in the Eventbrite invite. So this is what we're going to cover today. So we will talk about academic expectations, UNSW support services available to you, health and well-being, staying safe, Australian culture, beach safety, which is extremely important. We will have representatives from ARC, which is a student organization that looks after everything outside the classroom, so they will talk to you about how to get involved and make the most of your time here. We also have with us Jessica, who is one of our exchange ambassadors. So Jessica is a UNSW student, and she has done exchange herself, and she will give you some tips and advice from a local student perspective as well. We will finish probably close to 12 p.m. And then the exciting bit is outside we will have some food for you. And that's just a great opportunity for you to meet each other, talk to each other. I'm pretty sure everyone is keen to meet their fellow exchange and study abroad students. So please stay back and enjoy some food and meeting everyone. So the exchange and study abroad team, we're part of the learning abroad team. So we have two teams, exchange and study abroad, but we work really closely together. The best way to reach us is via our email address. So the email addresses are listed on the slide. So depending on whether you're study abroad or exchange student, you will be mailing one of those email addresses. I think everyone should know by now what your status is, but don't worry, if you email the wrong email address, it will be forwarded to the relevant team straight away and someone will get back to you. We also will have, well, we've started already, drop-in advising times at the nucleus. So exchange and study abroad advisors will be available for drop-in consultations. And the nucleus is your student hub, which is located in the library. And the times are listed on the slide. So we're not there today just because it's orientation and you will be all hopefully having fun and doing something exciting afterwards. But we will be at the nucleus tomorrow and also Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. There's no need to book an appointment, so if you have any questions that you would like to discuss in person, please just drop by during those times. So introducing our campus, UNSW campus, it never sleeps, but as we say, it takes a nap sometimes. So what's happening now, it's this perfect example of napping. Winter term that you're here for is actually part of term 2 at UNSW, so it's the last few weeks of term 2. So UNSW students are now headed into their term 2 exams. So that's why campus is really quiet. Students are busy studying and preparing for their exams. But trust us, when term 3 starts, it will be really, really busy, and there will be lots of student activity on campus. We strongly encourage you to join Term 3 all week, which happens 1 week before Term 3 classes start. So all week will start on the 4th of September, and there will be lots of things happening on campus, so please get involved. So here is the map of where we are located. I'm sure you all have seen it already. So this is our Kensington campus with the little yellow dotted lines. So this is the campus we're on. There is also the Paddington campus for art and design, and some of you will be taking courses there. It's about 10 minutes away, not walking, so driving, and we will talk about how to get to that campus later in the presentation. So we really have an amazing location. I think it's the best location for a university. So we are located between Sydney's coastal eastern suburbs and city centre, so we have the best of everything. The beautiful Coogee Beach and Bondi Beach, the famous Bondi Beach, they're only a short bus trip away, and actually you can walk to Coogee as well. It's not that far, and you're walking down the hill, so you can even go between your classes, for example, or after your classes, just to enjoy the beach. And we have the relatively new light rail network. It will take you straight from this campus to the central business district and inner city. So it will actually take you all the way to the Opera House and all the touristy sites as well. So very easy to get around. In terms of the facilities, we have lots of things on campus. It has everything you need to make your student life at UNSW a wonderful experience. UNSW is buzzing with students and activity. We have more than 60,000 students from over 120 countries. So it's a really, really busy campus, and it's a big university. So the things that we have on campus are listed on the slide. We will talk about some of them in our presentation. So we have the medical center. There are lots of, there's a supermarket, there are food options. We also have a gym. Just to note that it's not free, unfortunately. We know it may be different depending on your home university, but if you would like to join UNSW gym, you need to pay for a membership. They have a swimming pool, classes, and, basically what gym would offer. So if you would like to join, just walk down there near the main gates, and then you can have a chat to them to see what options are available. So I will now hand over to David to talk about academic expectations.
Thank you very much, Elena. We have Australian accents coming later in the presentation, just so you guys know. I want to make sure everybody knows. I have the very, very bright and fun section on academic expectations. Just because there's some things that may be different here than what you experience at your universities back home. One thing that might be different are the different kinds of class deliveries that you might experience. So lectures are kind of like this. It's a stand and deliver from one of your teachers. You may have, a lot of these have online options as well, and that is distinguished from sort of smaller delivery modes like tutorials, labs, and seminars, all of which have a lot more participation sort of components, a lot more work with each other, and problem solving together in smaller groups. There's also 3 main delivery modes here at UNSW. There's fully in person, where all of the components of a class will be in person. There's fully online, where obviously everything's online, pretty self-explanatory. Those can also be asynchronous. So some of the fully online ones, you'll have to attend the online lecture at a particular time. Others, you'll be able to do it according to your own schedule. And then there's multimodal, which will be some combination of the two. It could be as little as there are online quizzes in the learning management system on Moodle, or it could be that everything but for one really big important field trip component is mostly delivered online. So read through your course outlines on that, which we will talk a little bit about later. Course enrollment, this is just sort of a reminder slide. You've probably had several reminder emails about this from us already. The course approvals deadline, and that was the prerequisite checks on your prior learning for this term, has obviously already passed. But if you continue to get approval for new subjects, we will continue to add permissions to the enrollment system for you, as long as we have capacity up until the end of next week on Friday. So if you are having or waiting for some course approvals, we wanted you all to work towards the deadline that we knew we could meet and make sure all the permissions were in, but if you get some now, sort of after the deadline, we'll still take care of you if we can. This is where you will be doing your enrolling and lots of other stuff in the MyUNSW platform. It's sort of the one-stop shop student portal for all of UNSW learning services connected with your studies. Not an exhaustive list, but some of those services will be your email, Moodle, and that's the learning management system that I was referencing. Some of you may have been familiar with Blackboard, which runs on the same sort of baseline thing at your home institutions, but it's pretty straightforward. I think you guys will be able to pick it up quick, but you'll have lots of notifications there on when assignments are due. You might submit assignments through that because it's connected directly to Turnitin, which we'll talk about in a bit. And there are sometimes discussion boards or other kinds of sort of collateral learning content that comes in your particular classes. It's also where you'll find lecture recordings. UNSW has tried to make a commitment to ensuring as many of their lectures as possible are available for later, to just sort of from like an equity perspective. A lot of that is done through originally a big student initiative for Lecture Recordings Plus, which is really incredible on Echo, where they do it just like this. So like there'll be like a one shot of your teacher and the slides, and it's very easy to follow. It's not just sort of an audio recording of them separately. And then Teams. And some of your classes will actually include Microsoft Teams as part of the delivery method. Those of you in engineering, there's one very, very famous international learning and teaching academic who does huge assessments and problem-solving pieces in Teams groups together, which is really, really special. So some of you will get a chance to take advantage of that. We really encourage you to make a good start. What is it? An ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure, all that stuff. Read your course outline. It is essentially like the contract for each of your courses between you and the university. It is the gospel truth. Everything in it either is correct or the university will make it correct if it wasn't, because it's sort of the promise in the long run and the expectations that you guys can rely on. Look at when all your assessments are going to be due across the terms. Form a study group. It's a great way to just make friends as well. And just make sure that you're not, surprised it's exam time. You guys are all professional students at the moment at your home institution, so this shouldn't be brand new stuff, but always good to reinforce. Textbooks, they're pretty expensive. I would check your course outline and maybe go to your first class and talk to your teachers before you sort of out-of-pocket commit to buying all of your textbooks. If they are absolutely 100% needed, some of them will be available in the libraries on either long-term hold or short hold, and that means they keep a few of them back. And again, this is on another slide, but I'll just skip it when I get to that. They keep some of them on sort of, you can borrow this for 4 hours, but it has to go back on the shelf for the next person needs it, so they're always in circulation, ready to be used. And there's also a used bookshop as well, which has some really affordable prices. Library. So you may have seen the library. It's just that way, about sort of 50 meters. Giant tall building with a beautiful lawn in front of it. It's also where, as Elena noted, the Nucleus Student Hub is. And they are sort of the tier 1, sort of front-facing first line of inquiry for you guys on lots and lots of your stuff, because you're special because you're study abroad and exchange students, but you're also UNSW students generally. And that's where sort of the first point of contact is. We have a completely 100% connected 100% of the time Teams chat with them if they need to escalate something to us, but they will be a really, really great resource for you if you have any questions about your enrollment or waitlisting or getting a form signed. Like, they'll be able to handle a lot of it for you really, really quickly. There's also a law library down campus closer to Anzac Parade, and when you manage all of your online or all of your library stuff, I would encourage you to do it online. You can book things out. They will deliver it to whichever library is more convenient for you. You can return it to whichever library you want. You can do your extensions from your online account, all that good stuff. Assessment. Oh, it says check your course outline. That's a familiar refrain in this section. You have to attempt all of your assessments, and we have to say that because sometimes people don't. And just because sometimes this is different in some other countries, if you get less than 50%, you will have failed the course. And there's not, unless it is expressly mentioned in your course outline, there's not like an automatic ability to resit or recomplete an assessment in your course. Special consideration. We put a lot of words on that slide, but I'll just sort of talk to it. This is for when unforeseen or unexpected circumstances beyond your control affect you and your ability to do your best or demonstrate your proper level of achievement on a particular assessment. It's more things in the acute space, like I got sick on Tuesday and it was due right then. My colleague Shane is going to be talking a little bit about equitable learning services later. That's another service provided for things that to enable you to fully demonstrate your achievement, but it's more for long-term stuff. And I usually use an example from my own life in this. I was a student in Australia. That's why I moved here for law school many years ago now. And for a lot of years, I'd used a special consideration process for problems with my back. because I would get problems with my back and I wouldn't be able to do my assessment. And it was only until like my second or third year that someone referred me to the Equitable Learning Services unit, because they're like, well, this is seeming to be an ongoing thing, David. You have a chronic condition with your back. And so instead I was able to get interventions through Equitable Learning where I didn't have to sit hunched over for 3 hours to write my law exams by hand, and things that would stop me from getting sick with my particular condition, rather than responding to an acute incidence of that condition. So, have a think for yourself whether that kind of a service might be useful for you. SpecCon is there for you if something unexpected happens and you need support, but consider whether you might have more utility for the other space as well. Exams. You guys will be familiar with exams. There aren't usually what's called centrally conducted exams in the winter term, the one that we're in now, but there may be like a class test in class towards the end of the term. More likely, there'll just be a series of assessments. It's an intensive term. A lot of the academics who have created and designed courses, especially for you guys, because it's really a fancy term that only you guys get to take, so it's lots of really cool options. Will likely not have organized an exam. I'm sure you'll be thankful for that. I know I would be. But yeah, the centrally conducted exams in term 3 will be between the 24th of November and the 7th of December. They get released on the 25th of October provisionally. Do not rely on that with all of your gospel truth. Wait until the final timetable is released on the 30th of October. And do not make plans to leave or go traveling or do something until you have that exam schedule. We know you're here to travel and have an incredible time. We want you to do that too. But your personal travel will not be a reason, like we were talking about on the special consideration slide, why you cannot attend your exam or do something like that. So have all the fun, but you can't do it during the exam timetable. The slide we have to have that, of course, will never be relevant for you guys is the cheating slide on academic misconduct. UNSW is globally one of the leaders in detection and oversight over contract cheating and other forms of academic misconduct you'll see on the slide. And just don't do it. It becomes such a pain. We have to tell your home institution. It's a big mess. I've put a quick note on that, which is new, about generative AI. Generative AI can be a really, really good tool to help and promote your actual learning. And there will be courses, I think, with very forward-thinking professors that you might take here who are using that as part of their teaching and even assessment techniques in their course. But if you're going to use it and it's not expressly mentioned in the course outline to what extent you are allowed to or not allowed to use it, I would just have a chat with them. The key thing, and it sort of speaks in the same way that we deal with plagiarism here at UNSW, plagiarism is not, unless it's like on purpose and full of dishonesty, is not really treated as misconduct. It's treated educatively in the teaching space, because most people who are cheating are not plagiarizing. Because we run things through Turnitin, we have text matching software. Nobody who is trying to pull one over on their teacher is doing cut and paste plagiarism anymore. So usually your mark will just be reduced to the extent that the plagiarism meant that you were not demonstrating your own learning outcomes. That might be 100%. If you just copied and pasted an entire piece of work, you haven't shown your teacher anything, so you haven't earned any marks. But it's different from the cheating space. Generative AI will probably be the same. If you use it and it replaces your learning or replaces your demonstrated learning, then you don't deserve marks for that. But if you're using it as a tool to help express yourself better or augment or show your learning, then that'll be different. And if you frame it that way and talk to your teachers about it, in the cases where it's not specifically mentioned in the course outline, I think you're going to have a better time than, surprise, you're in a misconduct process. Right. Transcripts and grades. We have some lists there about the grade range versus the code that will appear on your transcript, all those things that are different here than from your home institutions. At the end of your final term of study, which might be 1 term, it might be 3, we will create for you an account in the MyEquals system, which is sort of an online depository of your academic truth at UNSW, the full and final. You will need to act on the email you receive about that and create a new account and connect it to an email address that you have forever. and then you will have access to your transcript forever for free. If you don't respond to that email, it'll be connected to your UNSW account, and that'll vanish, poof, into thin air 2 weeks later, and you'll be emailing us begging for access again, and then we'll have to send you on to somebody else because university systems, and it'll just be a pain. So when you get the email, connect it to your Gmail or whatever you want, and you'll have access to your transcript forever. You'll be able to send copies directly to your home institution, so the chain of custody or whatever isn't broken to get your credit recognition and all that, but put it on your list. It'll happen probably about a couple of days after release of results that you can find on the academic calendar. We often get questions about grades and transcripts on like, how come my uni doesn't think my grade is as good when I did it in Australia because you guys grade so hard. I feel for you, but I can't make all the universities in the world listen to my opinion on what your grade should be at your home institution, so it will be something that you need to negotiate with them. But most of them, if they're sending us students in droves for years, they've mostly gotten the message. But I can't promise you an outcome on that one way or the other. All right, academic progression. This is mostly for those of you who will be here with us for multiple terms, but it's a condition of your program, and in fact, basically all programs at UNSW, full degree or otherwise, that you pass greater than 50% of your subjects in any given term. So we have terms that have three courses, so you basically have an obligation to pass 2 out of 3 of them, or there will be an academic progression check for you, where we ask you, hey, what happened, why, what things are you going to put in place for the rest of your terms that you're going to succeed better, how can we help you, and all that stuff. Or if it's like an absent fail because it's very clear you just flew to Bali and didn't do any work for the term, you could really be putting your place in the program in jeopardy. So that's sort of hearkening back to that slide about you must attempt all of your assessments. You have to make an honest effort. It's okay when things don't go perfectly. That process will not be punitive in terms of responding to a progression check, but it'll look a little bit less favorable if it's a bunch of absent fails because you haven't bothered to try. That being said, thank you so much for listening to me talk about the heavy stuff. There's more fun stuff to come. I'm going to introduce my colleague, as I said, Shane. He's one of my program officers in the study abroad team, and he's going to talk to you about support services next. Thanks so much.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sydney. Welcome to UNSW. I'm happy to be here talking to everyone today, putting some faces to names and meeting some other new people around. So I'll be here today to talk to you about the support services available to you while you're here studying abroad or on exchange. I've just got a quick video. We'll start with that, and I'll talk about the video after it's started.
Hey there, welcome to UNSW. My name is Laura Montague and I'm the chair of your student organisation ARC, and I'm so delighted to welcome you to UNSW. UNSW is a place where you can learn, grow, discover and thrive, and there are so many amazing services to help you do just that.
The Nucleus is the home of student services, here to guide you from enrolment to graduation. Drop in online or in person if you have any questions around working through your degree, your student record, fees, ID cards, or documentation. We'll be able to help or point you in the right direction.
The student support advisors are here to help students navigate the pressures and stresses of life, including university life. The team takes a personalized approach, assisting students steer through a wide range of matters, such as financial hardship or accommodation issues, and with general information regarding student visas, relationship difficulties, as well as personal and health-related concerns. Sections with student support advisors are free and confidential, and students can receive support in person or virtually. For more information or to book an appointment, just search UNSW Support Advisors.
Academic skills can help students with any aspect of their academic work, including planning and writing assignments, reading and note-taking, presentations, critical thinking, and many others. This service is available to all students at any point of their degree. The academic skills team meets with students by individual consultations, workshops, or in general education and faculty courses. They also provide heaps of study skills and resources online on the Academic Skills website.
Equitable Learning Service is a confidential service that supports students living with disabilities, medical or mental health conditions, or anyone with care responsibilities. The role of ELS is to ensure that you are provided with appropriate flexibility and educational supports throughout your university studies. This service is free and confidential, and there is no need to tell your faculty what your health condition is. The team at Equitable Learning Services will work with you on a personalised equitable learning plan with specific educational adjustments.
Mental ill health is common. No matter what your concern, UNSW is committed to supporting students who experience any form of mental health distress. Support is available through Mental Health Connect, whether you're in Australia or studying overseas. Mental Health Connect will assess your needs and assist you to access the most appropriate counsellor, psychologist, advisor, or doctor. If you need support after hours, there's also an after hours line you can call. Head to Mental Health Connect website for more information.
UNSW Employability can help you to build your personal and professional identity, to discover, launch and grow your future career. There are career coaches available for online appointments to assist you in navigating your employability journey at UNSW and beyond. For more information, go to employability.unsw.edu.au.
ARC is your official student organisation. We look after everything outside the classroom, from an epic O Week to over 300 clubs, sustainability programs and creative opportunities, student wellness and sports on campus, and so much more. The gist is, we want you to experience everything. Your first step to an incredible experience at UNSW is to join ARC today.
So there you have it. There are heaps of ways that you can access opportunities and support at UNSW. See you on campus.
All right, so I'm pretty much just going to recap what you've just seen in the video there. UNSW is here to support you throughout your whole journey here with us. There are whole different points of places where you can go to for support. If you're struggling in any of your classes, I would always recommend the first point to have a chat with your tutor or your lecturer and, you know, your course coordinator. If it's a really large course, there might be someone who is assigned to look after that and answer student inquiries. But as mentioned in the video, the student support advisors, they are easily the best resource on campus. They're located in the John Goodsell building. You can also book through the Nucleus Student Hub to meet with them. But the advisors, they're basically the team at the university that knows what to do for anything. So they know where to go if you need support for this. They know who to contact. They're just a really fantastic team that really helps advocate for you. And if you still haven't really figured out where to go for help, you can always contact us via the Study Abroad and Exchange email addresses as mentioned. So academic skills is also something that we would encourage students to access while you're here studying with us. The academic expectations at UNSW might be quite a bit different to what you're used to at your home institution, and you'll be able to quickly find out what the classes are like after the first couple of weeks. But if you find that you're struggling, you can contact the academic skills team via their website. You can have a look at all the different consultations that are available with them, the workshops, the different resources, and it's really just a good first point to go to if you're just having trouble with your courses and it's not really content related. And as David mentioned as well before, Equitable Learning Services is the place that you will go to pretty much now if you know that you might need accommodations while you're here, You might have certain accommodations at your home university that you're used to. Maybe that might be extra time during an exam, or perhaps using certain technology to assist you with doing assessments. Just a couple of examples, but it doesn't automatically transfer over to us here at UNSW. You do need to make an appointment with them, and we would certainly recommend that now is a great time to start thinking about making those appointments so you have enough time to provide supporting documentation. And as well, I'd like to talk to you about My English Week. So many of you maybe, English is not your first language. If you're looking to improve your English language skills while you're here, this is a week coming up at the end of August here. And it's just to help you build your language confidence and to help you succeed at UNSW. I've heard it's a really great way to network and meet others as well. It's really fun, and there are lots of online in-person sessions you can choose from. So if you are looking to improve your English, I would really recommend this as a first point as well. And just my final slide as well, many of you might be living off campus while you're here at UNSW this term. So if you have any accommodation issues, or maybe you haven't even yet found accommodation, this is probably the best resource to go to, is the off-campus accommodation website. We recently ran a webinar on off-campus accommodation. There are a whole heap of resources out there. Please do get in touch with us as well if you are experiencing any accommodation stresses. All right, someone's about to walk through the roof, but I'll just now invite my colleague James up as well, and he'll talk to you about the different health and well-being on campus. Thank you.
Great, so it's my turn. For when the roof does fall, it'll hit me, that's totally fine. Good, so like Shane said, I'm going to talk to you today about health and well-being. You're all here on your study abroad and your exchange program, so this is a terrifically exciting time for everyone. There's so much enjoyment you can take from this, but it's also important to remember as well that it won't all be a good time, and there may be times that you need a little bit of extra support. And as someone who's done a study abroad myself, I know this all too well. So I think understanding the options that are available to you is a really, really important, really useful tool to start with early on. So we will start with a video. Hopefully it works.
The UNSW Health Service is a comprehensive health service that's available to all students and staff at the university. Our team of highly experienced GPs have a diverse range of skills and knowledge. We can treat everything from general health issues and sports injuries to heart problems. We can also conduct men's and women's health checks and provide vaccinations for health and travel. Making an appointment with us is easy. You can book a time via our online booking system through the UNSW Health Service website or through the Appoint You It app, which you can download on your phone. You can also come in and speak to our staff in person. All appointments with us are completely confidential, and the health service does not link or share your personal records with the university. For domestic students who hold a Medicare card or international students with a Medibank OSHC card or AHM card, there is no cost to see a GP. A small fee may be charged for some vaccinations and dressings if needed. If you are an international student with other health insurance funds, you may need to pay upfront and be reimbursed later by your health insurer. On the day of your appointment, you can find us on the ground floor of the quadrangle at the Kensington campus. Please check in with reception and present your UNSW ID card and a Medicare or health insurance card. Appointments will usually take between 15 to 20 minutes, and the GP can treat most inquiries at the health service. If your GP feels you need further treatment or a specialist, they will write a referral letter for you and tell you where you can get additional help. Uni life can be fun and rewarding, but sometimes it can be stressful if you're sick or worried. So remember, if you have any concerns about your health or well-being, come in and see our friendly staff.
So I know as well, I just want to talk a little bit about COVID-19. So as you can probably guess, as you're all sat here in front of me, to many people it feels like COVID-19 is over, a thing of the past, and something that we don't have to worry about anymore. And whilst that may be true for some of us, that is not true for all of us. And I think that's very important to remember that for an array of different reasons, COVID-19 is still very much an ongoing phenomenon for a lot of people. So with that in mind, it's important that we continue to respect a few of the protocols and a few of the rules. We're not going to enforce them onto everyone, but of course, I think it's very, very important to highlight that mutual respect is an important feature here. So we're not anticipating any big outbreaks or updates or anything like that, but if there are anything like that, any updates, we can check that using the link that we see on the screen there. And of course, it's very important to follow the advice of the local authorities and from UNSW itself. I think it's also important to highlight as well that if you are unwell, it's best that you don't come to campus and that you reach out to your lecturer or your academic beforehand and explain the situation, explain that you're not well, particularly if you have tested for COVID-19, you have tested positive. If you choose to, we do encourage you to wear a good quality mask, an N95 or a P2 or a surgical mask. Again, that's not compulsory, but can be good practice. And of course, observe social distancing as well and wash your hands frequently, which of course I hope everyone does anyways. And like I said earlier, be compassionate about other people's needs and just respect other people's choices with regards to masks and other things like that. So just a little bit of a recap on what we explored earlier in the video. We have the UNSW Health Service that's here on campus, and it's very easy, very accessible for all of you. There are face-to-face appointments or there are telehealth if you can't make it in for whatever reason. The UNSW Health Service has a team of highly experienced doctors, as we saw, with an array of specialities, something that kind of fits every issue. Okay, so whatever problem you may have, you can feel comfortable that we probably have somebody who's an expert in that field and who you can go and talk to about that. Things like COVID-19 vaccinations and flu vaccines, they're available there as well. And to book, you can use the number on the screen or you can book online if you so choose. The opening hours are as they are on the screen there, noting that they are closed on Saturday and Sunday, so please try not to get unwell on a weekend. But if you do, you can contact the after-hours care, which is also on the screen. In an emergency, I think it's quite important to highlight here that the number for the emergency services is 000. That is for an ambulance, that's for the police and the fire brigade as well. And if you are on campus, the UNSW security number is as listed on the screen there also. And there are also a few after-hours doctors and also a hospital just on the Coogee side of campus. Again, so psychology and wellness, very, very important to highlight, particularly for students who are going through the stress of not only university, which of course is very stressful, but also a study abroad experience, study abroad or exchange. Being alone in a foreign country, of course, can be very difficult, but rest assured there are support mechanisms in place to help you if you so need. There are a broad range of services, including individual counselling, motivational support, anxiety and mood management, and a lot more. And again, the contact details are on the screen. If you choose to go in person or if you would rather email or call, the options are up there. Now a little bit about Medibank, and I'm aware that not all of you will be with Medibank, as you know, you are absolutely free to choose your own overseas health cover provider. But for those of you who are, they are our preferred provider, and there is a very useful mobile app that you may wish to download. The benefits of the app include the digital membership card, so you can just pull that up at any time. You can check and update your details wherever you are very easily through the app. You can make claims anytime. You can get access to 24/7 health advice. And you can also find a doctor who bills directly to Medibank, which is very useful, so you don't have to pay anything up front and then claim it back later. So it is kind of worth your while if you are planning to use it to have a little look and kind of cut out that little administrative step. And if you don't want to use the app, there is also the online website, which is on the screen there, and you can activate your account that way as well. And almost at the end, but not quite, so we do have the 24/7 student health and support. This is provided by Medibank, and they provide a number of different services, as you can see on the screen there. And all you need to do is give that number a call, and you can basically get in touch with the Medibank team about any of those issues you see. And finally, on campus, if you want to go and chat to them, they do also have an office on campus, and it is where that big arrow is pointing on that map. I know that probably won't make too much sense to you, because it doesn't make too much sense to me, but essentially it's way, way over there somewhere, kind of down by NIDA. So it is on campus, and I do assure you, if you type it into Google Maps, you will find it. It's quite nice and easy. Okay, and I shall be passing over to Elena, who will be talking about staying safe here in Australia.
Thank you, James. Okay, I'm back. So staying safe, personal safety. Sydney is a safe place, or Australia in general is safe compared to many places around the world. But Sydney, it's a large city with over 5 million people, so it's important to use normal precautions as you would for a large city. Like most of the things would be common sense, but we need to remind you, of course. So obey all warning signs. Don't leave bags unattended, including on campus. Just always make sure you know where your bag is, especially if it has your wallet or your phone in it. Don't walk alone at night. Travel in numbers when leaving locations, again, in particular, late in the evening if you're out. Keep your passport in a safe place, extremely important. Only carry what you need. Don't carry large amounts of cash with you. If confronted, and if you're in a dangerous situation, comply with demands, like don't try to be a hero or retaliate. It's not worth it. It's important. Safety is the most important thing. Crossing the road. So in Australia, for not everyone, but for most of you, we drive on the other side of the road. We're not going to get into discussion which one is right, which one is wrong, but we drive on the left-hand side of the street. So it's extremely important to pay attention, especially in the first few days. You may be still jet-lagged, and it's really easy to forget which way to look. So look both ways, at least for the first few days, few weeks. Cross with the locals, just follow them. Watch out for the light rail. It's relatively new, even locals are still getting used to it. Light rail, quite often, it has its own traffic lights, so it's important to follow it. Like, don't cross if the light is red for light rail. It may seem like there's no light rail coming, but they sort of suddenly appear, so please be extremely careful. Sun protection, you probably have read, you probably know while doing research about Australia that the sun is extremely strong and very dangerous. It can be deceptive. It may feel like, oh, just stay for 5 minutes, get a nice tan on the beach. Like, I know I've done that mistake. I've made this mistake. You will get burned. So please make sure you always wear a hat, sunglasses, long-sleeved clothing, high-factor sunscreen, and stay in the shade as much as possible, in particular between 10 a.m. and 4 a.m., in particular in summer. Just a note on sunscreen, get Australian sunscreen. It's not just snobbery, we're not advertising or promoting anything, it's just sunscreen from overseas, just doesn't cut it here, just trust us. You need to buy sunscreen that's made for Australia. And drink plenty of water. In general, it's very healthy, but in particular if it's summer or if it's a hot day. Stay hydrated. So aim for a healthy balance of work, play, and rest. I know James mentioned you're here for a fun experience, but you're here to study, you're here to explore. There will be a lot going on. So we do have support services available that James was talking about. So it's important to keep balance of everything. Like, you're here to study, but don't study 100% of the time. Make time to have fun too, but at the same time don't have just the fun. don't ignore your assessments and classes. The winter term is short. It will be very intensive, and for some of you, it may be the first time that you take an intensive course that lasts only 2 or 3 weeks. Even term 3, it's only 10 weeks. It may be shorter to what you're used to at your home university, and there will be assessments throughout the term. So it's important to stay organized, plan out your day, plan out your weeks. If you do need help, it's available. We have lots of support services at UNSW, as we keep mentioning during the presentation. So look after yourself, look after your friends as well. Just do what usually keeps you happy and healthy. We have like gym, for example, or you can exercise outdoors. You can go for a walk. They're beautiful coastal walks. You don't need to pay for a gym. You can exercise for free outside. You can ride a bike, go for jogs, go for a swim, surfing. So lots of things to do. It's just important to look after your well-being. So a couple of reminders about smoking. We're of course not going to lecture you that smoking is bad. So if you do smoke, remember, we need to remind you that UNSW is a smoke-free campus. So you cannot smoke anywhere on campus. Smoking is also not allowed on public transport and where food is served. It may be different to some other countries, but in Australia you can't do this. If you do smoke and you wish to quit, speak to one of the doctors at the health center on campus, because they do have assistance and can give you support and refer you to the services available to help you with that. So drinking age is 18, which we know depending on where you're from, it's lower than in your home country. So if you choose to drink, we understand it can be extremely exciting, especially if here you're of legal drinking age. So if you choose to drink, drink for fun when you're out, but control yourself. Like, don't get to a point when you don't understand what you're doing and you do something stupid, or you get very sick, or get in a fight. So this has happened to exchange and study abroad students. So please be careful. Also, extremely important, drink spiking. It happens everywhere. It happens in Sydney. Sometimes students, or like if they see you from overseas, may be targeted. So please always know what's in your drink. Don't accept drinks from strangers, like random people. If you do accept a drink from someone, see bartender pour that drink for you. Like, don't just accept a drink if someone you don't know brings it to you. If you leave your drink unattended, don't come back and drink from the same glass. It's not worth the risk. Just get a new one. And when you're out, just watch out for yourself, but watch out for your friends as well. Like if you feel that someone, maybe getting sick or doesn't seem like their usual self, just get help if needed and make sure they get home safely, or call an ambulance or go to the hospital if you feel like they need medical assistance. So drinking under the influence of alcohol, DUI, it's illegal, it's a criminal offense everywhere in the world, we must remind you. A note on drugs. Recreational drugs may be readily available if you're out, depending on where you are, but it does not mean they're legal, they're still illegal. You're all grown-ups. Once again, we're not going to lecture you, we can't stop you, but if you do decide to participate in illegal activity, you must be prepared to deal with consequences. So just our responsibility to remind you this. So if you're convicted for any illegal activity, your visa may be cancelled, you may be deported, and importantly, this may affect any future visa application. So if you decide to move back to Australia, you may not be able to if you have a criminal record here. So just be sensible, don't do that. So continuing, staying healthy, safe sex and consent. Just a reminder that all genders are equally responsible for risk prevention. We're talking about STIs and unwanted pregnancy. I will talk a little bit about consent. It's a serious, very important topic. Consent matters each and every time. So consent is when a person freely and voluntarily agrees to behavior, understanding what they're doing and who they're doing it with. So this includes situations in everyday life and also when it comes to sexual activity. So nobody feels forced or pressured to do anything, and everybody is conscious and clear-minded. So you must actively seek and affirm enthusiastic, just emphasizing enthusiastic consent, through words or action, as consent cannot be assumed from silence or inactivity. And consent is reversible, that's important, so anyone is free to change their mind at any time about what they want or don't want to do. And consent needs to be reaffirmed every time. So just because someone agreed to one sexual activity once, it doesn't mean they automatically agree to the same activity in the future. Help is available. I know we keep reminding you, but we do really want you to remember, if there's one thing you take out of today's presentation, is that we do have amazing support services available to you. You're not alone. Help is available. On that subject of consent or gendered violence, so if you or someone you know is affected by gendered violence, including sexual misconduct, there are many services on campus and off campus, and many people who can help you. So the phones are listed on the slide, including UNSW internal services and external ones. UNSW is committed to creating a safe and respectful environment for everybody. So if you have been directly affected, or if you're a witness of an incident, or if you're a support person, you may choose to make a report through the UNSW Gendered Violence portal, and the link is on the slide, and reports can be made anonymously. UNSW also has a team of first responders who are students and staff who are trained to provide support and guidance if you just need to talk to someone and understand what can be done, what support, what services are available to you. So you can find one of the first responders on the website as well. So there's a list of people and how to contact them. So UNSW security, we are committed to making campus safe for everyone, for all staff, students, and visitors. So UNSW security has a 24/7 presence on campus. You may have seen already the help points, blue and yellow. So they've been strategically placed across campus, so our campus and Paddington campus, just to help ensure your safety. It's a direct link to the security services control room. So if you need to contact them, if you don't feel safe, you can just press the button there and it will connect you straight to security. UNSW also has a night shuttle bus, like a safety bus. It's a free service and it operates in the evenings, Monday to Friday. So it has stops around the campus, and it also goes like a little bit around the campus, mainly to the nearby public transport stops. We also offer a safety escort service, so you can call the security by using like a help point via the app, which I will talk about in a second, or a lift phone. And someone from security will come to your location and they will walk with you to perhaps like a light rail stop. So this would be an example if you've been studying late, getting ready for your exams, you're in the library and it's already really dark, campus is maybe empty, you don't feel safe walking, so you can call security escort and they will walk with you to a bus stop or a light rail stop, or if you live on campus, to your accommodation, for example. Just remember that service is there. I mean, campus is generally safe, so this is not intended to scare you, but of course, at night it can get dark. It's well lit, so stick to the main walks. As I said, it's safe, but just take precautions and contact security because all those services are available to you for free. So the phone numbers are listed there. Security has 2 phone numbers, one for general inquiries. So if you have an inquiry, you can call one number, and they have an emergency number as well. So you can go to a help point or you can call from your phone. If you're on campus, UNSW security is your first point of contact for any emergencies. As James mentioned, 000, easy to remember. It's the emergency number for police, fire, and ambulance. But just to remind you again, so if you're on campus, call security. So for example, if you're really sick and need an ambulance, if you call security, they will organize an ambulance for you because they can explain where they can enter and they can open up, I guess, gates, or because you can't really drive through campus, but they can make it work for an ambulance, for example. So call security and they will provide assistance and they will coordinate what service you may need. If you're off campus, it's 000. So that's the app I mentioned briefly before that we recommend you download if you would like to. Stay safe at UNSW. So it has all the emergency contacts. You can request a security escort through the app. You can track the night security bus, and there are some security tips for you as well. So getting around, I'll just talk a little bit about transport. So as promised before, so I'll tell you how to get to the Art and Design campus if you're taking courses on that campus. We do have a free shuttle bus that operates between the Kensington campus and the Art and Design Paddington campus. So the stops are listed on the slide. You probably won't remember it anyway, but if you go to the timetable, it's online. You can just search for it or go, probably the easiest would be to search, or the timetable is also available near the stop. It's usually every hour, so you can check the schedule. So when you make your timetable, if you take classes on both campuses, they can't be back-to-back, obviously. You won't have enough time to get from this campus to the Paddington one or vice versa. So it's important to have at least a 1-hour gap between the classes on 2 different campuses. Just to note, if you don't take any classes on the Art and Design campus, we would still recommend just going there for a visit. It's in a really beautiful suburb of Paddington. You know, there are lots of beautiful buildings, nice coffee shops, and the Art and Design campus has a small art gallery as well. So it would be just a nice place to visit when you have a bit of spare time. Public transport. As I mentioned before, we are located in the eastern suburbs. We're easily accessible by public transport. So we do have 2 light rail stops on campus. One is on the lower campus, and the other one is near kind of the library on the upper campus. If you're on the Art and Design campus, light rail doesn't go there, but there are buses. And honestly, if you're in the Art and Design, it's so easy to walk. You're really close to the city center. To plan your trip, the best website is listed on the slide. You can check the routes of light rails and buses, and you can do a trip planner. So you tell where you are and where you need to go to, what time and what day, and they will give you different options and approximate travel time as well. Also to note that depending on where you're from, you may not be used to catching public transport. It may not be safe, for example, or not convenient, not reliable. Where we are, the public transport network is amazing. So with buses, and in particular light rail, so a lot of locals use public transport. You know, light rail runs very frequent. Buses too, occasionally not reliable, but overall pretty good and safe. Obviously taking normal precautions at night, but it is very safe, and it's a great way to get around. Traffic would be bad, parking is a nightmare, so a lot of locals just commute using public transport when they go to work or if they need to go somewhere. Masks are no longer compulsory on public transport, but as James was saying, if you would like to wear one, especially if it's a really, it's rush hour, light rail is packed, you can do that, and if you can't, social distance, just to keep everyone safe and yourself too. And finally, Opal travel card. Depending on when you arrived, you may already have one, or you may have done your research, you know how to pay for public transport, but you basically need to get Opal travel card, and then you put money in it, you can recharge it online. There are also recharge kiosks available at all light rail stops, so it's really easy to top up. And then the way it works is you probably have something similar in your home country. So when you get on a bus, you tap on. When you get off the bus, you tap off. If you're catching light rail, tap on, tap off thingies are they're always at the light rail stop, which is really convenient. So when you get to the stop, just tap on, then catch your light rail, and then when you get off, just tap off at the station. It's very important to tap off. Sometimes it could be easy to forget, because if you forget to tap off, you will be charged the highest fare for that particular route. so you may be overcharged. So if you tap off, then you will be charged exactly what you're supposed to be charged. Also to note that, unfortunately, exchange and study abroad students are not eligible for transport concession or student discount, and you have to pay the adult fare. So this is the Opal card that you need to get. It's gray that says adult. That's not our decision, unfortunately, but just the rule here. We wish you had transport concession, but you don't, so just remember to pay adult fare. Buses and light rails are really frequently patrolled, so you will be checked, and there are big fines if you're using a student concession card and you don't have your concession sticker on your student card. And finally, yes, so if you don't want to use Opal card, or if you forgot it, you can also pay by credit card, so which makes things convenient, I guess depending on what you prefer, but just letting you know. So that's it from me. I will now hand over to Filippo from the exchange team to talk to you about Australian cultures and all the fun bits. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Philippa, or Pip. As you may hear, I am one of the few Australians in the team, born and bred, and I will be talking to you a little bit about Australian culture. I am, as mentioned, one of the exchange advisors, so if you are from Asia or the UK, I am one of your first ports of call. So I may or may not have already spoken to you via email. So let's get started. So one of the things, obviously, some of you are recently arrived to Sydney. Some of you might have already spent a couple days, maybe up to a couple weeks here already. But one of the things to think about is culture shock. Leaving home and traveling to study in a new country can be stressful, even though it's something you might have planned and prepared for. A lot of you will have been organising this for quite some time. Many people actually are quite surprised when they experience the impacts of culture shock. So it's important to realise the experience is quite normal and normalise that this is something that many people do go through. So for some of you, as mentioned, this English might not be your first language, and so it can be tiring to have to speak in English all day long, and Australians, particularly myself, speak rather quickly. So don't be embarrassed to ask someone to repeat what they have said. You might also find that you miss your home language a little bit, so if you need to find friends that are from your region, and hopefully that can alleviate some of those pressures that you may feel. One of the things that also you need to note is that social behaviours may be different to that of your home country, and you might find people act slightly differently to what you're used to in certain situations. You might find relationships between men and women are either more or less formal, and differences can be found in interactions with friends, teachers, and others, so something to keep in mind. Although you may first become aware of these cultural differences in your physical environment, you also might notice that they come from different views of the world. Obviously, we've got a global audience today. Everybody comes from different countries, so you're not just thinking about Australian cultures and values, but also that of your peers. Cultures are built on deeply embedded values and sets of norms, and so we understand that it might be surprising or even frustrating that some people won't hold your deeply valued beliefs that come from where you live and what maybe your family or friends hold. So think about others, and again, as James mentioned, it's all about mutual respect. As much as possible, try to suspend judgment and understand how parts of different cultures can fit within your own to make a coherent whole. Try to see what other people do or say in the context of their own cultural norms and understand them within that context. Regardless of how painful an adjustment period might be, your experiences are going to broaden your horizons and contribute to personal growth. That's what exchange is all about. You're coming to another country to experience different things, meet new people, do new things, and broaden your worldview. So be flexible, be adaptable. Remember that there's not necessarily just one way of doing things. I always advocate to be proactive, initiate conversations with others. That's why meet and greets happen after the orientation, talk to people. This is your chance to do that. Again, normal things that we've kind of talked about in terms of safety and well-being. Eat well, sleep enough, exercise, meet others, try to be proactive. Go traveling, go on and off campus, have new experiences. But again, if you need it, seek help. We're here for you. That's the whole aspect of this exchange. This is just a nice little image of like what culture shock can feel like. So there are always going to be ups and downs, like no experience can be perfect or go exactly to plan. So as long as you're open to the idea and the possibilities of things happening, you know, hopefully you'll be able to get through all the peaks and troughs, and you might come away with, you know, a wonderful experience. So just a quick introduction to Australia. We're a fairly recently colonized country. For some of you, you might have come from much older cultures, but we are first and foremostly an Indigenous nation. So just in terms of starting with some of the flags that you might see around, and also how we differentiate regions. The first picture in the top left is essentially a traditional Aboriginal map that details all of the individual nations of the land before white settlers arrived. In the kind of middle top bit, you can see the orange map. This is the current state and territories map of today, how we are split out into states and territories. You're currently in the state of New South Wales. Then in the middle, we have our coat of arms. This shows our famous Australian kangaroo and emu. One of the reasons they were chosen as part of our main national animals is because they can only walk forwards, they can't walk backwards. So it's all about making Australia move forward and be progressive, and yeah, so, sorry. Then we have on the far right of the top is our national flora, which is the Australian wattle. Then from the bottom left, we have our current national flag. You may see that around. Obviously, we've got the Women's FIFA World Cup going on at the moment. You might want to go out to see a game. Australia is still in at the moment, so there'll be some very, very excited Australians looking forward to the football/soccer at the moment. So then we have our Aboriginal flag. It was designed by the land rights movement and has become a symbol for Aboriginal people today in Australia. It has the yellow circle, which represents the sun. Then the red can have two meanings, the red earth or the red ochre of Australia, that's used in lots of Aboriginal ceremonies, and also the blood of the Aboriginal people. So then we have another flag, which is the boxing kangaroo. Again, it's a national flag that's often used at sporting events and has been portrayed in Australia since the 1800s. And yeah, we'll go from there. So yes, just to talk a little bit about Australia. Obviously, as I mentioned, we are a newly colonised country, but we have Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander history that spans over 65,000 years of history. Country is an Aboriginal English word that describes the lands and waters and all the living things that connect to country that we're on today. Aboriginal culture is a holistic culture that's defined by connection to family, community, and country. In Australia, the idea of being on country is central to the Aboriginal worldview. First Nations people in Australia are incredibly diverse, as mentioned, as you saw on the previous slide with the numerous number of individual communities in Australia. They each have their own language and cultural identity. They've all live in close relationship with each other and to country, and they are always proactive about caring for it over the millennia that they have been in Australia. So a quick guide to Australia. We're a pretty multicultural and diverse country, although our cultural mainstream is centred in Western Anglo-Celtic customs. We are generally becoming more multicultural every year. As of the census date, more than 50% of Australians have at least one parent that was born outside of Australia. So we do have a lot of, again, global worldviews. So Australia is the 6th largest country in the world, but its population is pretty small comparatively. We have roughly 24 million people. It makes us one of the least densely populated countries in the urbanised world, except we are still a highly urbanised place, you'll see in our CBD. We enjoy a pretty high standard of living and have a fairly informal cultural and lifestyle, so that's something that you might see as you spend time with us. And basically, we consider ourselves a lucky country. We have a comfortable life, and you might see that as you spend time with us. So one thing is that we try to be incredibly egalitarian. It underpins a lot of our values in Australia. We believe in what's called a fair go. Regardless of a person's background, you should be given the opportunities to do whatever you so choose. So that's something to keep in mind whilst you're here. So just a few general Australian kind of things that you can think about. When you go out with friends, a lot of students will do what's called splitting the bill. You might have that at where you come from, you might not. There are things called rounds at the pub, so if you're with a group of friends, someone might get the first round of all the drinks and it will kind of go through each person. Something to keep in mind. Shops close comparatively early compared to some of the countries that you live in, so keep that in mind when you're looking at going and doing activities such as shopping. In New South Wales, our late night shopping is on a Thursday. Every state and territory is different, so keep that in mind. And even though it says late night, it still closes at 9, so yeah. The other thing we do is abbreviate everything. We like to shorten words. So again, if you need to ask someone to repeat what they've said, please don't be embarrassed. One of the things is afternoon, arvo, biscuit, bicky, swimming costume, cosy, McDonald's, Macca's. So now on to just some interesting food quirks in Australia. You might want to try a few things you may have already heard of about Australia. One of those things is a lamington. It is a sweet treat / dessert that you can buy. It's basically a cake, usually with some jam in the middle, covered in chocolate and desiccated coconut. There is actually some dedicated stores in Sydney that only sell lamingtons. So I recommend you go and give it a try. We also have Tim Tams. They're pretty globally known as Australian nowadays, but if you haven't tried one, go grab one. Vegemite. I know a lot of the UK students will understand it because they have Marmite, still very different. Vegemite's superior to Marmite, obviously, but you really don't need to slather it on. Please only use a tiny amount, super duper salty. Fairy bread, again, a weird Australian quirk. You have it at kids' parties, butter, hundreds and thousands on bread. You may also see in the supermarket when you're buying groceries that we do eat our national Australian fauna, i.e. the kangaroo. It is a super high lean protein, it's really healthy, don't be weirded out by it, it's really tasty. Give it a go. So now we're coming on to something a little bit more serious, and I know a lot of you guys will be super keen to go to the beach in Australia. It's what we're known for. Coogee, as mentioned, super duper close. Bondi, super duper close. We have all these amazing, really small beaches as well. Bondi and Coogee, big tourist attractions, but there are some great, beautiful other beaches that are much smaller all along the coast around Sydney, so be thoughtful to check out some of those. One thing at the big beaches oftentimes is you will see these red and yellow flags. If those flags are up, swim between those two flags. Our lifeguards are there to keep you safe, and they have looked at the conditions of the water and decided where is the best place to swim so that you hopefully don't get caught up in any rips or any stuff that's happening out in the open water. So obey the safety signs at the beach. We will have a quick video about learning how to identify rips because they can be troublesome at the beach, and it will help you understand where to decide to swim. If you're not sure, ask a lifesaver on the beach or a lifeguard about the conditions. So again, they will be wearing yellow and red, and you'll be able to see them pretty easily. Don't go into the ocean during severe weather or if there are any severe weather warnings. Take personal responsibility for yourself, think twice, and assess your safety before entering the water, particularly if you're not a confident swimmer. So let's just get started.
Every overseas tourist should know about because there's something that can get you into trouble. I'm Dr. Rob Brander from the University of New South Wales, and I'm a surf scientist and surf lifesaver. During the summer months in Australia, on average, somebody drowns in a rip every 2 or 3 days, and most of the thousands of rescues that happen on our beaches are related to rips. Remember that it only takes about a minute to drown, so it's very important to be able to spot rips on your own. Now, if you haven't noticed, I've been swimming between the flags, and that's where everybody should swim because the lifesavers and the lifeguards put the flags in the safest part of the beach away from the rips. And if you don't know what a rip is, if you swim between the flags, that takes a lot of the guesswork out of having to spot one. However, of the more than 11,000 beaches in Australia, only 3% are actually patrolled by surf lifesavers and lifeguards. And that means there's a lot of beaches and a lot of rips that you could easily get into trouble in. Well, what are rips? It's a really good question. And what we do is we throw purple dye, which is harmless, into the water. The dye goes wherever the water goes, and it's an easy way to spot the rip. Well, let me tell you what rips are not. They're not undertow. They won't pull you under because there's no such thing as an undertow. They're not rip tides because they're not a tide. They're a current. They flow pretty steady, and they won't take you to New Zealand. Basically, rips are strong, narrow currents that flow from the shoreline through the surf zone and offshore. They exist to take all the breaking water that's piling up on the beach back out to sea. Here you see a nice green gap, almost like a road going through the surf. And that's the rip current because it's sitting in a deeper channel, in this case, between the reef and the sandbar. But look at it, there's no waves breaking, there's hardly any white water. Whereas you look to the right, you've got your sandbar, shallow water, waves are breaking there, bringing all that water in and back out through the rip. It looks perfect, and that's how you spot it. It's a pretty scary experience getting stuck in a rip, and there's definitely some do's and don'ts about how you should behave if you do find yourself caught in one. The main thing is not to panic. Don't panic because the rip will not pull you under the water. All the rip will do will take you further out to sea, and it'll sometimes bring you back. Remember that you've got air in your lungs, you float, you're very buoyant, so don't panic. The second thing to do is if you're not a particularly good swimmer, put your hand up, straight up like that, signals for the lifeguards and the lifesavers to come and get you. What you could also do if you're a good swimmer is you could look around. And if you can see the sides of the rip, which is usually the shallower water where the waves are breaking, a lot of white water, swim towards that area. White water is good because it means it's shallow, you can maybe stand up, and also white water brings you back to the beach. What you should never do is swim against the rip. These things flow pretty fast, and you'll just find yourselves going backwards, swimming faster, getting tired, and then you'll start to get scared. So just go with the flow, signal for the lifeguard, or let the rip take you around and get out of it yourself. One of the reasons that rips are dangerous is that they flow faster than people can swim, and sometimes they can flow faster than even Olympic swimmers. Rips are most dangerous because they actually look like the safest place to swim. A view from a headland is always a good way to spot a rip because you're up high and you're looking down at the beach and they're a lot easier to see. And often surfers and swimmers will check out the beach for rips before they go down in the water. Not all rips are the same. The most common type is what we call a fixed rip. And fixed rips are stuck between sandbars and they might stay in the same place for days, weeks, and even months. Well, we've just had an example of a flash rip where all of a sudden the rip is pulsed out. Where those surfers are, you can see the chopped up, messy white water that's just gone out, and then it's just stopped. And that's one common thing about these flash rips is that they can suddenly occur anywhere where there's suddenly been a large group of waves breaking, and it pushes the rip out, and then it disappears. Finally, we get something called a permanent rip, or a headland rip. And these are rips that are pushed against the headland, and they're there almost all the time. So it's another good reason to always be careful when you're swimming close to headlands and rocks. If there's no lifeguards or flags on a beach, the simple rule is don't go in. If you do go in, make sure you're an experienced swimmer or surfer, make sure you're always with somebody, and make sure you know how to spot rips.
Thanks so much for that. I'll now hand over to Katrina Pingaro to talk about ARC.
Hi everyone, my name is Katrina and I work in the Student Community Engagement team at ARC, which means I have one of the best jobs at UNSW, helping students get the most out of their time at uni. And I say that not just because it's my job, but also because I am a student and I've seen it firsthand. So I'm currently studying a Bachelor of Design and Media, majoring in PR and Advertising. And personally, I've gotten really involved through volunteering through ARC. And today, I just wanted to say a huge welcome to UNSW. You guys have made such a great choice to come to one of the best universities, not only in Australia, but the world as well. And to complement the in-classroom experience you're going to have, gaining all this new knowledge and information, ARC is here to help you make the most out of it and get the best out of classroom experience. The first thing I want to say is that ARC doesn't stand for anything. We just arc over a whole bunch of different opportunities. ARC is run for students, by students, and our organization is really unique because at every level we are working with students to make sure what we're delivering is relevant and as awesome as possible for you guys. And our mission is to create the best student experience. And the best student experience means something different for every single person. If you take a look around, everyone here looks different. They have different interests, hobbies, personality traits, dreams, career aspirations, all wrapped into one human being. And we take our job very seriously of giving you a range of ways to have that best student experience. And we have this saying at ARC called find your thing. And we love saying this because your time at uni should be all about discovery. You should be trying new things and stepping outside of your comfort zone. So, in the spirit of stepping out of your comfort zone, I've got a little challenge for all of you today. And it is to say good day to the person next to you. So take a look around, chat to the person next to you, find out their name, what they're interested in. Whoa, you're on it. And I've got... Amazing, and find out one fun fact about them. Okay, sweet. We might cut the conversation there. You can definitely chat to them after this. But I've got some free socks for someone who can tell me the name of the person next to them and something new that they learned. Who wants some free socks? Yes. Oh man, all the way up the back. Can you yell out the name of the person next to you and what you learned? Computer science major, very fun, very interesting. Okay, you can come grab this pair of socks after because I cannot throw. Next person, anyone else want a free pair? I've got two more. Yes, at the back, in the pink. Maria, Spanish major, Matt, computer science, and then one more pair. Anyone else? How about a fact not about their degree? Yep. Hi, Ollie. Keen surfer, so, oh, nice, so paying close attention to the rips earlier. Amazing, well, I will come find all of you to get these socks later. But yeah, at UNSW, we have over 300 clubs and societies, so no matter what you're interested in, whether it is surfing or computer science, we have something for you. We have such a diverse student community that we have a Chinese Students Association, we have a debating society, and we have a Chinese Students Debating Society. So no matter what you're interested in, you're sure to find something that will match your interests. Whether that is a faculty-related one, or if it's things like Minecraft Society or Hot Girl Summer Society, which you don't have to be hot, a girl, or it doesn't have to be summer for you to join. But yes, I often get asked, how many clubs or societies should I join? And the answer we have is usually 3. So number 1, join something related to your faculty, because that's the best way to meet people in your degree, to get new information about like how to do your courses or how to get into the industry. Number 2 is to join a club related to your hobbies or your cultural background. It's a great way to find people who have similar interests to you. And then lastly is to join a club or society that's completely outside of your comfort zone. And during O Week and Launch Week, which is just under a month away, I believe, there will be a whole bunch of clubs and societies for you to talk to some of the members and see how you can get involved. And if we don't have what you're looking for, you can make your own club. You just need an idea and 3 friends to help you get started, and you could be the next Hot Girl Summer Society. Now, we also know that a healthy body supports a healthy mind. So while you're studying at UNSW, it's so important to move your body, and ARC Sport is the perfect way to do that. We have 39 sports clubs, and we have social sport every afternoon on the Village Green. We have competitions and events happening all the time, and even now during the World Cup, we've got screenings of the games down at our big screen, which you'll see down at the Village Green later on. And we also have a whole bunch of global sport freebies for international or exchange students and heaps more. Next, I want to talk about getting involved. So this is a quintessential part of university life. It's where you're going to meet people outside of your classroom, try new things, and learn new skills to give back to the world around you. We have heaps of opportunities to get involved, one of them being Volunteers United, which is the largest student volunteering program here in Australia, and it connects you with non-profit organizations, so it's really flexible to fit within your university schedule. We also have our community programs, which enhance our campus community. So you could be part of our philanthropic fundraising program called Phil and be part of our 24-hour fundraising challenge where we stay up all night and do crazy things around campus to raise money for the Sydney Children's Hospital. Or you can get involved and hand out free food to students while in between classes. We also have some creative programs, and that's how you can flex your creative muscles. So if you like drawing or writing, we've got a whole bunch of publications that you contribute to. And lastly, we also have sustainability programs, which allow you to think global and act local with initiatives designed to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Sorry. Then we also have ARC Wellness. We have a saying at ARC Wellness, which is that you can't pour from an empty cup. So we're big advocates for helping you take care of yourself so that you can take care of the people around you and just do what you do best. Yes, we do have alpacas on campus sometimes during week 8, which is a stressless week. So with wellness, you'll see the iconic blue shirts, volunteers around campus, handing out like free stuff to help you, but also just explaining the skills and tools of wellness like gratitude, healthy habits, and sleep. And in the next term, you'll see us participate in things like Sextember, Mental Health Month, Stress Less Week, and Are You OK Day. All right, so on the topic of help, this slide is really close to my heart, and it's an important reminder to ask for help when you need it, which is a very hard thing to do. But 9 out of 10 students in their time at university, it will be really easy, really breezy, you'll get through and you'll be just fine. But for that 1 out of 10, you might need some serious support and help and to complete your studies. One way to do that is to talk to ARC Legal and Advocacy. They can help with things like visas or tenancy, employment, and all those other things to help you get by. And we also have Food Hub, which is open 3 times a week on campus, and we give out free groceries to help you, especially with cost of living crisis. And then lastly, heaps more. This is our saying just to encompass everything else that we do that maybe doesn't fit into any of those other topics. And we do things like trips and tours. So if you want to go visit places in Sydney that you might not have know exist, we plan trips for you so you can come along. We've got free stationery in the quad, so if you ever forget a calculator or a pen or a notebook and you're in desperate need of one, you can stop by. We've also got many binders, so take them as well. We've also got global sports, so you can get free sport training in some of our Australian sports. And lastly, my last recommendation and the key takeaway from today is to join ARC. It's free and you get complete access to everything we do, so please pull up your phones, scan the QR code. You'll be able to join ARC and you can stop by our offices and you can get a membership bag that has more freebies and goodies in it to help you get started. Otherwise, we'll also be there at O Week to help you get started with being a student here at UNSW. So thank you all so much for your time today. Best of luck with all your studies, and I'll see you guys later.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. Okay, so it's now my pleasure to introduce Jessica. I mentioned Jessica at the start of my presentation. So Jessica is a UNSW student, and she will talk to you about student experience from a student perspective, and Jessica would be happy to answer any questions you might have during our barbecue or like sausage sizzle that we're going to have afterwards.
Just a hello. So yes, I'm Jessica. I'm a 3rd year at UNSW. I study the UNSW double degree of a Bachelor of Social Work with honours and a double of criminology and criminal justice. So I'm here for 5 years. I'm here for a little bit. I've seen a little bit of UNSW. I was in your place exactly 12 months ago. I went on exchange. I went to England, the University of Leeds for a semester. The best time of my life. This is such an incredible time of your life, and you'll look back at it for so long. I still do, like, it's 12 months now. The Snapchat memories are coming up with little, where were you today? And I was frolicking around England in their summer. So it's just an incredible opportunity. Take every moment you can. If you kind of, I wouldn't normally do this at home. Say yes to it. Say yes to it. I promise it'll be worth it. Still keep in mind your gut instincts. If something feels off, don't do it, obviously. But get yourself out of your comfort zone. I promise it's 100% worth it. I ended up being in on-campus accommodation. I met my best friend, thankfully, there. She was staying in my room next door. She was incredible, and we ended up traveling together. So you will meet some of the most incredible people here, whether they're also exchange or they're UNSW domestic students. You will meet some incredible people. But on saying that as well, I've also been at UNSW for 3 years now. I've gotten to know the campus. I love it. Personal favourite for me, I am a little bit biased, but I love the law library. I love it so much. It is such a good space. Everything you need is there. It's back down the bottom end of campus. So it's a bit of a walk from here, but worth it. I love it. There's a bunch of cafes around there for some coffees. It's a gorgeous spot. The light rail's just there. Personally, I had a great coffee down the other end, and the new cafe that has opened up over at the Village Green, I think it is, massive ham and cheese croissants, and they're like $5. So they're a good breakfast one. The teachers at UNSW are also a major support. They are there to help you. They want to help you. They want you to ask questions. They will answer and do their best they can. Don't be afraid of them. I promise they want to help, and they're happy to answer all your questions. If you're looking for day trips out of Sydney, I'm personally from Wollongong on the south coast. Gorgeous beaches, a little bit biased, but much better than your touristy Bondi and Coogee down at the south coast. Whether you get the train straight down to Wollongong, you get off at Wollongong, or you follow the south coast line all the way down to the end and go to Kiama. It's about 2 and a bit hours, I think, from Central to Kiama. Gorgeous little seaside town. You've got the beach there, you've got cafes, you've got bookshops. It's gorgeous, gorgeous little town, all within walking distance. So please hit up the south coast if you can. Whether you go to the North Beach at North Gong, more cafes there, more shopping, anything along. Just keep heading south, you'll find something good, I promise. Or if you go up north to the Central Coast, they're also just as gorgeous. Go out west, go out to the Blue Mountains, all jump on the train with your Opal card. You'll get there, I promise it's easy. I promise. So yeah, I will be around after this. If you have any questions about exchange, about UNSW, anything simple, anything, whatever you need, I'm happy to answer. Just please enjoy these next 3, 6, 12 months, whatever you've got. Take every opportunity you can. It's an incredible time of your life. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Jessica. I think it's just really, really great advice. And yes, please feel free to ask Jessica. She may be the first UNSW student you've met. You will meet, of course, lots of students in your classes, maybe not in the winter term, but in term 3. But if you have any questions about the campus, student experience, please feel free to ask Jessica at the barbecue. So we're now basically almost at the end. We know you've been really patient. Thank you. So we're almost done, we promise. Just a couple of last slides. We know that many of you submitted some questions when registering on the Eventbrite. Thank you for that. We did our best to cover what you asked in our presentation, but we still have a couple of questions that we would like to address now. So I will talk really briefly about the first one. We had a question about student visa work rules and rights. Just I guess as a disclaimer, we're not authorized to give visa advice. The best place to check is Home Affairs. We put a link there to the website. I know it's a long one. You can take maybe a photo, but if you just go to the Home Affairs website and search for it, you will see all the restrictions. So there is a limit on how many hours you can do per fortnight during your term, and there are different rules for when you're officially on holiday, so it's important to read all the rules carefully. Just make sure you understand, and once again, don't do anything illegal. If you're still not confused, you can give them a call, or you may, I'm not sure if they're open for visits, but I think calling or emailing them would be the best way. You may have received your visa conditions in an email, so check that as well, because that would specify. It doesn't apply just to the work rights, it applies to everything else. Just make sure you check your visa conditions. And briefly mention, it was in one of the videos, we do have UNSW employability team. They have lots of online resources. It's just in case if you're thinking of maybe getting like a part-time or casual job, you can do things like free online resume checker. Some things may not be relevant because they're more designed for students who are about to graduate and go into graduate workforce, but it's worth checking to see what they have on offer. They're running different workshops and events, so if you find something that's relevant to you, feel free to join that. So now I'll hand over to David for the next question.
Yeah, so another question you guys asked was, is there sort of a meal plan or meal card program here at UNSW? There's not. But it's almost a blessing because it means we get lots of super amazing retail opportunities both throughout campus and in the surrounding area, because we've got sort of 3 to 4 really bustling suburbs filled with really great food options, and sort of Kensington and Kingsford on one side and Randwick and Coogee on the other. Some of my favorites, like, you'll get into disputes on campus about where the best coffee is. But I like Little Marionette probably is number 1 at Pips because it has my macadamia milk. Which is wonderful, and it's the future. If you guys are into oat milk, you should get onto the Maca. And then also Cafe Brioso is really good. It's just sort of facing the library lawn. For food recos a little off campus, I'd go to Chairman Mao's down in Kensington. Some really, really wonderful, authentic Hunan cuisine. And Sushi Tengoku is also really great. And Sushi Tengoku is also super affordable, huge portions, and wonderful, wonderful sushi. And I think I'll hand to James and Shane for stuff to do in and around Sydney in general.
Yeah, so one of the questions that we get a lot and what we've had put to us is the best destinations close to Sydney. So we can see some of them listed up there on the screen. I have been to the Blue Mountains quite a few times, and it is very, very beautiful. There's a lot of kind of cute little towns there. There's a lot of beautiful scenery, very nice nature. There are a lot of weird insects though, and someone from England doesn't really like that. So if you do want to see Australia's kind of weird and crazy wildlife in a safe environment, I would actually recommend Featherdale Wildlife Park, which is kind of a bit out west, but it's definitely worth the journey. They have pretty much everything that you've possibly seen on planet Earth or whatever else, and all from a safe distance, so nothing's going to hurt you, and that's the part I liked about it. And if those creepy crawlies aren't your kind of thing, they also have really cute koalas. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking that out. It's the first time I saw Tasmanian devil there. I thought they were fictional, just based on a cartoon, but apparently they're real. And they have the strongest bite per body mass. Who knew? Yeah, so it's really educational as well, and it's really quite interesting. My other recommendation would be Hunter Valley, because Hunter Valley is, firstly, it's beautiful, and secondly, it has some of the best wine in the world. So if you are into wine and you are into food, then I would definitely recommend checking that out. Of course, drink responsibly, don't drink and drive, all that kind of thing. But it is a beautiful, beautiful location as well.
My big recommendation is, I would like to do a lot of hiking and outdoor stuff, so I would highly recommend going out to the Blue Mountains. You can get out there in about 2 to 3 hours on the train and go for some of the best hiking in Australia. Royal National Park as well, you can get the train down there and to certain parts of it. Google the figure 8 pools, it'll look great on your Instagram for all your friends back home. It is just spectacular, the kind of untouched coastal landscape near Sydney. I'm from the South Coast myself, so similarly, I will always say go south if you want to have fun. I am actually one of the worst Australians there is, in that I only went surfing for the first time at the start of this year, and I am now a little bit addicted to it, so I would highly recommend, if you're at all thinking about doing surfing, go and take advantage of one of the surf camps for a weekend. They give you the whole wetsuits, that you get accommodation, and you get to meet so many people from around Sydney who are just keen to have fun and go surfing. Jervis Bay is kind of around the area where I'm from, and it's like some of the widest sands in the world. You can go whale watching, dolphin watching, and just go down there and do some of the best camping as well. And that would be my recommendations. Also, any type of cuisine you like, if you're a foodie, come up and ask me and I'll tell you the best place in Sydney to go for that. I promise.
Thank you. Hopefully some great tips, some good ideas for you guys. So that's basically it. We are done with the official presentation. If you do have any questions, please come up and ask us. We will be staying back for a little bit. Come and see us at the Nucleus. Have an amazing time. Have an amazing exchange of study abroad experience. Do reach out to us if you need any help. And please, food is outside, and there is also gelato. And please talk to each other, make new friends, and thank you so much.